It's trying. We're live. We think we're live. 5:20. Hey, we're live. It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. Just got back to Philly. Please like and subscribe. Of course, I gotta say that. Yeah, it's like 5:20 a.m. here in East Coast. I'm back on East Coast time. It's dark outside. It used to be light when we first started these shows, less than a month ago. Now it's dark. Anyway, hope all is doing well. Sorry I didn't do a show yesterday. It was kind of rough getting to the airport in Vegas yesterday because, boy, is their rental car lot and everything super far away. So we decided we should get up really early to get our 8 o'clock flight. I'm glad we did because the TSA office only had one line. Had actually one metal detector open, 2 lines going in. So I'm glad we got there early. But it does kind of talk about communication. We were talking to an Uber driver. We had to get Uber, and the Uber driver said to us that this weekend was really big because there was a big convention in town, like 7,000 people in for this convention. And I'm wondering to myself, did anybody tell at TSA there's 7,000 people coming to town? Because if they have that thing staffed that way at 6 a.m. in the morning, like come later in the week, they're going to be overrun with people. So I'm glad we got out when we did. Back here on the East Coast now, East Coast time, back in Philly. And let's talk Agile and Scrum. But it is important to communicate. You know, even though you think you've got one team, make sure that all the other teams know what you're doing. So one of the things I want to talk about is communication on that. Whenever I have new teams that I am Scrum Master for and come on board or whatever, or we get new members, I always try to find out what their holidays are. I mean, you have your sprint schedule and your cadence, right? You lay all that out, how often you're going to meet, you do your team norms, you do all that kind of thing. But one of the things I always do is I always make sure I know when the calendar holidays are. Because everywhere in the world, and I work with people from Europe, India, Philippines, Australia, East Coast, West Coast, all over the place, right? I know in Europe, especially in Ireland, they had lots of holidays. I think during the summer, it was like every other month, one Monday every month off. And it was funny how it seemed like I was the only team that knew when my people were off, when everybody else was taking surprise. Oh, they're all off. I'm like, yeah, I wrote down the dates of the holidays on the calendar so that when we did our analysis for capacity and stuff like that, we always knew that. But I always find it amazing how many Scrum Masters don't go out and identify the holidays for offshore people or people in India. I mean, we're offshore to them. But I'm really amazed how many people don't take that into account. You would think they would, and they would communicate that. It's a known date, just like here it is in the States, corporate holidays, things like that, that you would think the organization would have that identified for everybody to move over a little bit so you can see the clock. I guess I have to move that at one point. But they don't. It's one of those things that, you know, being prepared and understand that and have that part of your, as a Scrum Master, reminding teams, hey, there's a holiday this week, or, you know, we should take that into account. I mean, people take off. They take holidays, and people are like, what do you mean? They don't work every day of the week, 7 days, and never take a holiday? You know, I'm reading the Phoenix Project book. Ooh, probably just broke my thing. The Phoenix Project book, right? And they mentioned about people not taking off for months. I'm like, yeah, it's not the way you want to live. You want to have a good work-life balance. It's a good book, actually. I think I got through like over 200 pages in a couple of hours of reading. So it's actually written pretty well. Anyway, but they always talk about people not taking off and haven't been on vacation for months and things like that. I see that all the time, which is ridiculous because no one should keep up that pace. It's a waste, and you get tired, and you get burnt out, and then you quit and you get grumpy and all that kind of stuff. So you need to take some time off. Anyway, so we're back, but I just wanted to talk about the holidays because we did take off. But it is important to take that into account, and you should be identifying that because you got people all around the world. You should understand their holidays and when their official holidays are and everything like that. If you don't have one, just call your HR person and say, I need to know the holidays for people who are hiring offshore. It's their responsibility. Make them do it. I would. And or even ask them when their holidays are. They'd be more than happy to tell you because probably no one's ever asked them for what their holiday schedule is. They'd probably be actually shocked that you actually asked. So don't be surprised. Yeah, actually, probably a good idea. Ask them what their holiday schedule. Have them email it to you. I mean, yeah, that would be a great show of passion and concern for your coworkers, no matter where they are in the world. But I would do that. Okay. So we talked about making sure the holiday schedules for all your teammates, no matter where they are in your calendar, and you have that listed for everyone to see, right? Definitely do that. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, it was funny, it was in the book, The Phoenix Project, was splitting people among teams. And I know some people do it, and they'll say, hey, but this person's the only person who can do it, and we're blocked. Or I'm like, we only need them 10% of the time, so I want to do maximum efficiency. So they had some good, interesting numbers in there about, if the utilization percentage for people who are shared services, shared people, and how if you try to go too high on the utilization on shared people, then they're not available to get yourself through. And the whole idea is that you want to keep things moving. And in the book, The Phoenix Project, they talk about a work center. And if you have two work centers, right, which may be two teams, and both work centers need someone to help them process their throughput, and the person is shared, that means that the work center is only at 50% capacity, right? So you don't get as much work through that center. So the more you split people, the more it will cause you problems. And I just, in my little book, just try to write my little ideas down. Sharing resources becomes a constraint, and you really need to work to get rid of the constraint. One of the things, the beauty of doing Agile, working in Agile or Scrum, is the idea of having cross-trained people. Now people are like, oh, it's got to be cross-trained. They got to be 100%. I would love to see that. However, it's not always true. However, I will say there are skill sets that people need to be cross-trained in. You can't have the single Brent as the character in there who saves the world everywhere. There's a lot of Brents out there, right? But what I would say is that, if someone's a database person or only one person knows how to load up your data or something like that, you can easily go and train other people on how to do that, and you really should do that. There shouldn't be a limit to who can do one of the processes, and only one person can fix that, or only one person knows how to upload files, or only one person can check the work, or only one person can fix this issue, or they're the only one that has to use the database, or they're the only ones that do front end. I can go on and on. They're the only ones that have to do the automation test. They're the only ones who can review the test scripts. Every time I hear those words, I just go, cringe. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Because they're going to be the ones that slow your entire process down. They're going to be and they're probably a shared resource too, right? So they're probably shared more on one team. They're probably the bottleneck, and they're the only ones who can do something. So that's just going to mess up your flow. So what you need to do as Scrum Masters on a team is you need to diverse yourself from those people, or spread their knowledge as soon as possible within a couple sprints. Start Actually, I would do day one. I would start, okay, your job, your point is, I want you to share your skill sets with one other person, or how to use a database or whatever it takes, even if it's a minor job, so that at least they don't need to call you when they have an issue, but they can do the basic stuff, right? Spread that basic stuff out everywhere, out of the basics, just simple stuff, and make that a story in your sprint. Actually create a story in the sprint, because it's really pure technical debt when you have one person can do everything. And share it along. Because having, again, and here's another thing, it was a good point they made. You think the bottleneck on your team, when you have shared resources, it creates a bottleneck. But guess what? Every team that person shared on, right, has the same constraint that you do. So you think it's bad. I got this one shared resource, it's only available 10% of the time, blah, 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 or 20% of the time. And I'm like, okay, so not only yours, but there's 10 other teams that he's working on. So all 10 teams have the same constraint. There's one person. You have created an organization. Yeah, one person shared among a bunch of teams. One person, right? You created the organization. The managers are like, they look at me like I'm nuts. I'm like, do you think that's really smart? So what happens if that person goes on vacation? We just talked about holidays, right? Let's say the person's over in India or over here in the States, and they're going to go on a 4-day vacation. It ain't one team they impact. It's 10 teams, right? 10 teams. Does that make sense? That's stupidity. And if you're a manager and that's the way you set up your organization, that's really stupid. It's stupid, smart. You think that's really smart? Let's make them fully utilized. The best person on your team, we're going to spread them out like that. Your best person on the team is better off teaching and mentoring all those teams on how to be better than they are writing code. So if you think you're getting the most productive out of those people by spreading them out, writing code versus mentoring and teaching people, you're completely wrong. Okay, wrong. Don't do it. If that's the way you've been running, that's really stupid. So you really need to find out, if you're a manager and you have people that are leading multiple teams that actually do work, and people can't, and they are the bottleneck for that team, and you have it set up that way, you need to fix it right away. Okay, I guess that's an order. I don't know. Anyway, so there are 2 topics. This is 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Sorry I wasn't here yesterday. Again, it was like a crazy day from the airport yesterday morning. We were up at a little bit before 5, which is probably good why I'm up at do this 5 a.m. Mester Scrum, because it preps me for traveling, right? And there was just no way of doing it. I do want to check some of the other, I haven't been able to watch it. See how things are going. Well, we're getting closer to all the subscribers, so please like and subscribe if you can. 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Tell your friends about it. We're getting closer. And I guess that's it for today. Again, I don't know if anybody tried how you did it the weekend, what fun things you did. I had some fun. We were in Vegas, went tubing. Maybe I'll have to do a talk about that and have the opportunity. I'll put that on tomorrow's show about being flexible and have capacity for change. Anyway, take care. Happy scrumming. It's Tuesday. I actually have to go to work today. That's like rough after being away for a weekend, even for one day off. You got to get back in this groove. But I hope everybody's doing awesome, and you have a great day. Take care now and enjoy your day. See ya.